Bentornati su UCapital 24, grazie per essere con noi nel nostro pomeriggio. Oggi è il 5 novembre e gli Stati Uniti si preparano a vivere un momento decisivo per la democrazia. Siamo infatti al primo giorno di votazione per le elezioni presidenziali. Questa giornata segna quindi una grande opportunità per milioni di cittadini di far sentire la propria voce su temi cruciali come ad esempio l'economia, i diritti civili, ma anche la sanità e l'immigrazione. Con i seggi aperti in tutto il paese, gli elettori si stanno dirigendo proprio in queste ore ai voti, mentre molti invece hanno già esercitato il proprio diritto con il voto anticipato per corrispondenza. Queste elezioni non sono solo una sfida tra Kamala Harris e Donald Trump, ma rappresentano anche un momento importante e determinante per il controllo del Congresso, con tutti i 435 seggi della Camera e dei rappresentanti e anche i 35 seggi del Senato in gioco. Quindi ore importantissime, seguiremo appunto tutto il processo da vicino e mentre appunto gli elettori si stanno preparando a esprimere le proprie preferenze, il mondo osserva appunto per capire quali decisioni verranno prese e soprattutto che impatto avrà sul futuro degli Stati Uniti e anche di riflesso su tutte le altre nazioni. Vogliamo quindi fare un'analisi su quello che sta succedendo ed è successo anche negli scorsi giorni quest'oggi, collegandoci con due esperti di politica internazionale. Presentiamo subito Pierluigi Maffi e Jenna Hajam El Hassani. Good morning.
Good morning, Giulia.
Morning. Hi.
Thank you, Jenna and Pierluigi, for being with us today. And finally, we have arrived at the voting day. But today, before discussing what is happening in these hours, I want to take a step back and start with the candidates' latest public appearance, especially regarding Donald Trump rally at Madison Square Garden. So the first question is for Pierluigi, because I would like to understand what impact did the island of garbage comments at the Madison Square Garden rally have on the public perception of the campaign, and also how the famous guest present at the rally influenced the electoral campaign, Pierluigi.
Yes, hi, Julia. Both candidates try to show off a little bit with all the famous speakers that they introduced in the last events of their campaigns. And in one of them, as you said, at the Madison Square Garden, there was this actually very important moment for both campaigns, because this comedian, Mr. Hinchcliffe, made a racist joke about Puerto Rico, saying that it's basically an island of garbage in the middle of the sea. And that really had a very wide resonance in the wider public, because while Trump remained silent when asked if he thought it was a racist joke, Kamala Harris really used this moment to try and gain votes from the Latin community, and especially the very famous rapper from Puerto Rico, Bad Bunny, decided to endorse Kamala Harris after this comment. So this moment really had a huge impact on the public perception and could really make a difference, especially in those Latin communities that were not really endorsing Kamala Harris, but they were more kind of on Trump's side. But so yeah, apart from that, Trump used his last meeting in Michigan to repeat key messages about his campaign. So about how he's gonna benefit the economy, how he's gonna stop migration. And on the other side, Kamala Harris had a crowd full of stars in Philadelphia, where she had the last event before the election day. And she really stressed the message that the momentum is on her side. So she's really trying to show to the public that she believes she has the momentum from her side and she's going to win this election.
Perfect, Pierluigi. Thank you for the answer. Jenna, I would like to speak about Kamala because we see Kamala Harris participate in various podcasts, and it's a few. It's important part of her communication strategy. And how has presence on podcasts has influenced younger voters?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, podcast has definitely been seen as a new strategy emerging in the 2024 US elections. For instance, even former President Trump engaged in podcast, attended Logan Paul's podcast Impulsive and talked about tough guy masculinity and tried to influence young men to, follow Republican ideologies or try to convince the people who were undecided but trended towards Republican ideologies. And Harris decided to do the same thing. But what is interesting is the choice of podcast she decided to go on. So the podcast she actually decided to attend was Call Her Daddy by Alex Cooper, which is the second most listened podcast in the world, very prominent podcast in the US. And the thing that shocked, I think, was the explicit nature of this podcast, which is directed at younger women and talking about sexuality and other topics that have nothing to do really with politics, but more to do with being a woman itself and rights in the US, etc. And during this podcast, I think Kamala definitely appealed to undecided voters and to women who wanted to talk about their reproductive rights and who wanted to discuss this image. But I don't think that's the only way Harris has decided to go on about, reaching to younger audiences. There is also the platform TikTok, in which since the creation of the account has raised over 7 million followers and 100 million likes and engagement, targeting younger audiences and younger people. And it seems to be working because they are working with younger, shorter videos, using trends, mocking former President Trump, and showcasing the endorsements of many public personalities such as Beyonce, Jennifer Lopez, or Gracie Abrams more recently. And that is how Harris is trying to reach younger generations and talking about specific policies and specific problems that relate to younger people, such as climate change and reproductive rights. And, expressing that young people are experiencing all of these changes and that they are impactful in politics today.
Perfect. Thank you, Jenna. I would like to switch to Pierluigi, speaking about Kamala, because I would like to understand how significant is Kamala Harris' 3-point lead in Iowa, traditionally a safe Republican state.
So yeah, first of all, we need to keep in mind this is still one isolated poll conducted by The Economist, which is a very important when it comes to like the polling matter, but still it's just one poll. And polls, especially when it comes to Donald Trump, as we saw in 2016, are not very indicative of how the public is actually going to vote. So we need to be careful when we look at that. But yes, this could be actually very, very important because this might indicate the targeting of the women from Harris' campaign is working, especially when regarding the abortion topic, which is very sensible in the state. And so yeah, Harris' campaign has really been working on that, trying to get women to vote and try and disrupt Trump's plans with this force that not always goes to vote. This could have a huge impact on the election because all the candidates have just focused on the so-called swing states and presuming they're safe states where we're gonna vote for them. And if this is not the case, as we're seeing in this poll, if Iowa is indeed going to shift to Harris, this might be huge for Harris because it might actually take away some big electors from Trump, which could result in him losing the election to her.
Perfect. Thanks, Pierluigi. Now I would like to discuss with Jenna the world of stock market. We are a financial TV, so I would like to understand what impact do US election typically have on international stocks and also bond markets, and how do these markets tend to react during these special days?
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. The financial markets react in relations to policies and regulations. And so when elections are close, like the one between Trump and Harris, investors can't really predict what policies might come next. So it is this kind of uncertainty that makes investors more cautious, making them buy, more safe assets or trying to protect their money and trying to, get away from the volatile aspect of the market. So the stock market reaction, reacts to this volatility, and it is already something that has been seen in 2016 during the U.S. elections, because it caused a lot of ups and downs in stock prices, and analysts actually expect the indexes to keep swinging by around 2 to 3% when the voting happens. And until the next president is elected. So government bonds have been on a sell-off. Many investors sell their bonds, driving prices down. And it leads us to think that the Federal Reserve might slow down on reducing interest rates and keep yields higher. What's interesting is also to think about the impact of Trump's presidency on bonds. What do investors think when in these times of elections and uncertainty? Because Trump policies might make spending more on certain projects, might lead to higher inflation. And if inflation rises, the Fed might keep interest rates higher to control it. But in another case, Harris' presidency will actually increase government spending, but her policies will most likely have a smaller inflation impact than Trump's and keep yields more steady. So this divides the situation and makes investors very dubitative about the possible impacts of the stock and bond market.
Perfect, Jenna. Pierluigi, I know we have to wait a few days until now, but I would like to understand what is the timeline for the election day events, and what does it mean for the race if Harris and Trump are tied in the first official race?
Yeah, so all the polls are now open in the US. They opened around 7 in the morning for local time, and they will close between 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. depending on local regulations. So the last one to close will be the polls in Alaska and Hawaii, and this will be early morning for Italy. And yeah, as we're saying now, like the first results are starting to coming in. Like of course, those are like from very small districts. But yeah, we have a very interesting result in New Hampshire, which is traditionally the first place in the country that to complete the in-person voting, and we have a tie between Trump and Harris. So it does show the polls conducted in the earlier weeks were indeed correct. It does look like we are going to have a very close race between the two candidates. And of course, if the first polling should suggest a very big lead from one of the two candidates, that might actually benefit the candidate itself, because that might push other people to vote for them. However, that's not what we're seeing right now. For now, we're just saying that the race is very close, and Harris and Trump result being tied. So we shall see when more results come in, but they should be start flowing more during the night for the more important states as well.
Perfect. For conclusion, Jenna, so when will results be known?
Yeah. Well, to follow up on what Pierre said, election timing and poll closures, basically poll will start closing around 6 p.m. EST on Tuesday to 1 a.m. EST on Wednesday. So a winner is sometimes declared that night, but this year's close race means a clear delay in knowing the election results. There is a tight race. Harris and Trump running close. The media outlets made hold off on declaring a winner, and there are a lot of swing states to watch, such as Georgia, North Carolina, Michigan, which we don't know yet what the results will be. There's also a few challenges, such as there's over 100 lawsuits that have been filed, primarily by Republicans on issues like voter eligibility and election-related disruptions or issues. And this might also slow the results. But vote counting is faster in some areas, like Michigan, but it depends on every state. So historically, the 2020 elections took 4 days to declare Biden a winner. So it very much depends. For example, the 2000 race between Bush and Gore actually took 5 weeks to resolve. It's going to depend with the vote counting process, the electoral college system, which are going to vote and declare their official counts on the 6th of January. And depending on the different challenges, if results are close, if candidates decide to challenge the counts, such as what Trump decided to do in 2020, results might be known sooner or later.
So we will see. Anyway, thank you very much of both of you for being with us today. I hope to have you as soon as possible here in UCapital 24, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Giulia. Have a
Thank
good day.
you.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye. Noi adesso invece ci fermiamo per qualche istante e poi torniamo insieme, sempre qui su UCapital 24. A tra poco.